Jai Narayan students. Now this is the last video of this chapter. Until now in the last paragraph we studied that author along with Mukesh they entered into a half-built hut, one part of which was covered with dead grass, and the food was being cooked by a young woman, a bahu of that house. She was Mukesh's elder brother's wife. When Mukesh's father enters, Bahu gently brings the veil closer to her face, as it was the custom that daughter-in-law should cover their face before male elders. Till this much we studied in the previous video. Now we'll be studying on page number 18, second paragraph. In the second paragraph, we are going to study that Mukesh's grandmother's philosophy of life. What was her philosophy? She believes in theory of karma or destiny. Her husband has become blind with the dust of glass bangles. His blindness was the result of his karma or destiny. So now, page number 18, paragraph 2. It is his karma, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. Now here, Mukesh's grandmother, she herself is telling that she has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glasses of bangles. So she is telling that it is his karam. Can a God-given lineage here mean ancestors or descendant from ancestor, the thing which we get from our ancestors, ever be broken? She implies, born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles in the house, in the yard, in every house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. Now she is telling that as they were born in the caste of bangle makers, so they have seen bangles everywhere, in the yards, in the houses, and every street of Firozabad. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow. They have seen every colored bangles, curved bangles, lie in mounds in unkept yard. Mound means in large quantity. Unkept yards means very untidy yards. So all the colors of the bangle, the colors which can be seen in the rainbow, that many kinds of bangles, they kept lying in large quantity in an untidy yards, are piled on 4-wheeled handcarts pushed by young men along the narrow lane of the shanty town. They were being piled up on 4-wheeled handcart, and they were being pushed by the young men across the narrow lanes of the small town. And in dark hutments next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamp, and in the dark huts sitting next to the lines of flames of flickering means shining unsteadily oil lamps, sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers welding pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. In dark hutment sitting near the unsteady oil flame, young boys and girls, they prepare bangles, circles of bangles along with their parents. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside, as continuously they sit in dark hutments in front of the flames. So their eyes get more adjusted to the dark than the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. And that's the reason why most of them, they end up in losing their eyesights before they become adult. Now here we studied that Birth in the caste of bangle makers was their karam. They were poverty stricken. They joined profession of bangle making. Their eyes were more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside, and they often lose their eyesight before they become adults. Now, in the next paragraph, on page number 18, means the last paragraph, we'll study about a girl. But before that, let's see what Mukesh's father and grandmother's view about their lifestyle was there. Mukesh's father has worked hard all his life, first as a tailor and then as a bangle maker. Still, he has been unable to renovate his house or send his two sons to school. The irony is, in spite of all this, he has just managed to teach them the art of bangle making. Mukesh's grandmother believes in destiny. She has seen her husband going blind, polishing the glass bangles. Every yard and every street of Firozabad is full of bangles of all colors. The bangles, when ready, are piled on four-wheeled hand carts which are pushed through the narrow streets by young men to be sent to the towns. She firmly believes that the art of bangle making is a God-given lineage that cannot be escaped from. Young boys and girls of the city are seen sitting with their fathers and mothers near flickering lamps, wielding pieces of colored glass. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark in which they work. That is why they end up losing their eyesight early in life. Now, I'll read page number 18, last paragraph. Here, we'll study about a girl named Savita. She is a young girl. She sits along with an elderly woman and shoulders pieces of glass. She makes bangles but is unaware of the sanctity of bangles. She is unaware that bangles symbolizes Indian woman's suhag. Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress. Drab here means dull. So Savita was a young girl who was sitting in a dull pink colored dress. Sits alongside an elderly woman, shouldering pieces of glasses. Shouldering means joining. She was sitting in a dull pink dress alongside with elderly woman and joining pieces of glasses. As her hands move mechanically like the tongs of a machine. Her hands were moving like a machine. I wonder if she knows the sanctity means holiness, of the bangles she helps make. It symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. It will dawn on her suddenly one day when her head is draped with a red veil. Now here the writer is telling that she wondered whether the young girl Savita, she was aware about the holiness of the bangle, whether she knew that bangles, they symbolize Indian woman's suhag. It will dawn upon her suddenly. She'll come to know about those bangles suddenly when the day will come that her head will be draped. Draped means arranged very loosely with a red veil. She'll be having a red veil on her hands. Her hands dyed red with henna and red bangles rolled onto her wrist. And when she'll be having veil on her head, that time her hands will also be dyed with red henna and those red bangles will be rolled onto her wrist. She will then become a bride. Like the old woman beside her who became one many years ago. The old woman who was sitting alongside her, she also became a bride many years ago. She still has bangles on her wrist but no light in her eyes. She still was wearing those bangles in her hand but now there was no light in her eyes. एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया, she says in a voice drained of joy. So, in an empty and void voice, she said that she has never eaten one time meal properly. She has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. That's what she has reaped. Now she is telling she did not even gather one full meal in her entire lifetime, and that was the thing which she has gathered. Her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, flowing means hanging, says, I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is make a house for the family to live in. And that old woman's husband, he is also telling that he knew nothing except bangle making, and in his whole lifetime he has simply made a house for the family to live in. Hearing him, one wonders if he has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. He has a roof over his head. So now, after hearing elder woman's husband's voice, now the author wonders that if he has achieved that thing to achieve in his lifetime which many have not even achieved it, and that was getting a roof over his head. So in this paragraph we studied that Savita is a young girl who is dressed in pink. She sits with her parents shouldering the pieces of glass. Even in the dark, her hands move very fast. At her age, she does not realize the importance of bangles in the life of an Indian woman. This realization will dawn upon her the day she gets married. This is a tinge of irony here because eventually all girl child laborers will become brides and wear bangles. The old lady who is sitting next to her has lost her eyesight, but her bangles on her wrist as her husband is alive. She complains of their poverty. In spite of the hard work put in by them, they had not had enough to eat. Her husband complains of only being able to make a house for themselves. Now, we are on page number 19. The next paragraph. In this next paragraph, we'll study that nothing has changed in Firozabad. No progress, no development. Mind-numbing toil had killed bangle makers' initiative. They lost the ability to dream. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. So the cry of not having enough money except to carry on their business of making bangles, they don't have enough to eat also. This cry surrounds in every home. The young men echo the lament. Lament here means complain of their elders. The young people, they also complain as their elders. Little has moved with time. Very little changes have been done with time, it seems, in Firozabad. Years of mind-numbing. Mind-numbing means boring labor. Toil have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. So, boring labor throughout the year, they have deprived them. They have killed all the initiatives and the ability to dream. Next paragraph. Why not organize yourself into a cooperative? I ask a group of young men who have fallen into the vicious circle of middlemen who trapped their fathers and forefathers. Once again here, the author is asking, why don't they organize themselves into a cooperative? The writer asks this question to the group of young men who have fallen very brutally into the circle of a middleman. Even if we get organized, we are the ones who will be hauled up by the police. And the people from that young group, they told that even if they try to get organized, then they will only be the person who will be pulled by the police. They will be beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal. If they organize themselves, then they only will be punished by the police for doing something illegal. They say there is no leader among them, no one who could help them see things differently. So there should be no leaders among them, and no one could help them move out from that vicious circle. Their fathers are as tired as they are. The young men, they are telling that their fathers are also as tired as they are. They talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy. Apathy means a lack of interest. So they keep on talking from poverty to lack of interest, to greed and to injustice, about greediness and about injustice which is being done to them. Now, here in this paragraph, we studied that a common complaint of every family involved in the bangle making business is that there is not enough money to eat. The young repeat the complaint of their elders. Nothing has changed in the city over a period of time. All initiatives and dreams of the youth have gone lost in the hard work. The author suggests to a group to form cooperative to save themselves from the vicious circle of the middlemen. She is informed by the people that if they get organized, they would be beaten up by the police and put in jails. These people have no leaders nor any awareness about their rights. They are caught in the ruthless cycle of poverty, aversion, greed, and injustice. Now, the next paragraph on page number 19. Listening to them, see two distinct worlds, one of the family caught in a web of poverty. Now turn your page on page number 20. Burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. Stigma here means a mark of disgrace. So here we come to know that listening to them, listening to the young people speaking, see two distinct worlds. The author sees two distinct worlds. One of the family who are caught in the web of poverty. They are burdened by the disgrace of caste in which they were born. And the other one was the other a vicious circle of the Sahukars. And the other second distinct world was the vicious circle of the Sahukars. The middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats means public servant, and the politicians. Here the author notices two distinct worlds. Together they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. This second world, they have imposed the heavy baggage on the child that he cannot put it down. So here we studied that the author feels they present two distinct worlds. One is the family caught in the clutches of poverty and burdened by the stigma of caste. Secondly, these people are caught in the vicious circle of Sahukars, middlemen, policemen, bureaucrats, and politicians. It is because of such people that the children are weighed down with responsibilities at such a tender age. The children in turn accept it as naturally as their parents did. None dares to deviate. Now the next, before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. To do anything else would mean to dare. And daring is not part of his growing. Daring was not the part of their growing up. When I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. When that daringness was seen in Mukesh, then the writer got cheered up. I want to be a motor mechanic, he repeats. Mukesh once again repeats that he wanted to be a motor mechanic. He will go to a garage and learn. He said that he will go to the garage and learn, but the garage is a long way from his home. When he was being asked that garage is quite far away from his home, then he answered, I will walk. He insists, do you also dream of flying a plane? Once again the writer asks that whether he was having a dream of flying a plane. He is suddenly silent. No, he says. On this question, he gets silenced and then says no. Staring at the ground, in his small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. Though staring at the ground, in a very slow voice, there was an embarrassment, there was a shamefulness that has not, but that shamefulness has not turned into regret. He is content to dream of cars. He was satisfied to dream of the cars only. That he sees hurtling. Hurtling means rushing. The cars, he has seen them rushing down the streets of his town. But only few aeroplanes fly over Firozabad. Only few aeroplanes were flying over the Firozabad. But he has seen many cars. So in this paragraph, we studied that a ray of hope was to be seen. The author sees the daring spirit and never say die attitude in Mukesh and hopes he will fulfill his dream one day. Mukesh insists on being a motor mechanic. He is willing to walk a long way to the garage to give wings to his dream. At the same time, Mukesh is firmly rooted to the ground. He does not dream of flying aeroplanes. The author feels that maybe this is due to the fact that few planes fly over Firozabad. So that was all we studied in this chapter. If you have any problem, do ask, but I hope that you would have understood. Thank you.